block the flow. Another name for the flow is that evolutionary impulse that governs all creativity. It's the omni-action of God. Underlying everything, there is a flow of life that's always beckoning itself into greater expression of its potentiality. Our potentiality is infinite. There is no one and done. There is no final resting place. There is no place to get to. The bliss comes from continual unfoldment and the continual releasing of the gifts, talents, capacities, the activation of powers within you, and the subsequent sharing, all that is within you after you have cultivated them. You don't want to block the flow. And if you go down the rabbit hole of self-condemnation and perfecting your argument along the way, you're blocking the flow of your magic, the intentional act to create transformation in your life. You're blocking the flow. You're getting in the way of the energy of God. Did you hear what I just said? Yes. You got to catch this now, because oftentimes from the Western world, you've been trained that you have to do certain things to get God to flow in your direction. And that's not the case at all. God's always God. There never is a moment where there's a famine in the mind of God. There's never a moment when God isn't being God. You're just not in the flow yourself. You block the flow through the arguments that you perfected about life itself. And so you're getting out of the way of the flow that is always happening. Now, when you consider that, it should bring you a certain level of confidence and joy that you don't have to pray to God to be God. I sure hope God is God today, because, the other day God wasn't God. I knocked on the door of the higher power and God was something else, God's nature had changed. God's energy had shifted up on me. God got some tiny. God got so human and started having special people and chosen people and people that in cliques and people that God liked. I wasn't in the number that day. I sure hope God is God today for me. That's superstition at its highest, you see? And so when we understand that there's an evolutionary flow, an evolutionary impulse that governs all creation, it's never not itself, that the presence of God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, it gives us a sense of confidence that when we go within and we release the self-condemnation, we release the feeling tone of wretchedness about ourselves, we come into a flow that's always there waiting for us. And then we hear, don't block the grace. What is grace? Grace is the givenness of the Spirit and the givingness of the Spirit. Grace is not something we earn. Grace is something that we become receptive to, because grace has already been given. It's already been given you. So if you put those things together, your magic, that is what you do to intentionally cause transformation in your own life, your spiritual practice. You put together flow, which is the evolutionary impulse that governs all creation. There's always a flow towards more unfoldment of the perfect spiritual idea. And you put together grace, which is the total givingness of the Spirit. It has already been given. Now the might and power that you sometimes use mentally now can subside. We don't take heaven by storm, and nor by might nor power. No, we kind of relax into it. We kind of yield to it. We kind of surrender to it. We allow it. We let it. We become aware of it. And to the awareness of the presence of God becomes the activity of our awareness. Now we are walking supremely confident that the power, the presence, and the love is for us. There's nothing against us. Now we can say, better than what I can see, better than what I can say, bring it on.